Meet the Stinger Man-Portable Air Defense Missile System. The Stinger is a shoulder-fired, heat-seeking surface-to-air missile, also known as a Man-Portable Air Defense System, Manpads, that's designed primarily to engage low-flying targets, including fixed-wing aircraft, helicopters, and drones. In recent years, improved versions of the missile have been developed that offer improved capabilities against smaller unmanned aerial vehicles, which present a very real threat already and will only become more of a challenge to U.S. military operations as a whole as time goes on. The missile is 1.52 meters long and 2.8 inches in diameter. The missile itself weighs 10 kilograms, while the missile with a tube launch and integral sight fitted with a grip stock and identification friend or foe antenna weighs approximately 15.2 kilograms. It has a targeting range of up to 4,800 meters and can engage low-altitude enemy threats at up to 3,800 meters. The Stinger's launched by a small ejection motor that pushes it a safe distance from the operator before engaging the main two-stage solid fuel sustainer, which accelerates it to a maximum speed of Mach 2.54. The Stinger surface-to-air missile has been a staple of America's short-range air defense network since the 1970s. It's also been wildly successful on the export market, being used by almost every NATO country and U.S. ally. The U.S. military upgrades their Stinger to the new Stinger J and Stinger K models to effectively counter all aerial threats in the near future. The J model includes substantial improvements in lethality, updated components to help extend the shelf life, and decrease the maintenance cost of these missiles. The last update to the shoulder-fired Stinger occurred in the early 2000s with the Stinger F. This variant included a software upgrade from the Stinger E, improving its ability to distinguish targets from countermeasures. It leveraged the programmable microprocessor that was present in Stinger missiles since the Stinger C. A more ambitious program called Stinger RMP Block 2 was also initiated in the late 1990s, which would have incorporated a focal plane array into the Stinger to allow for even better detection. However, with the onset of the War on Terror and different budgeting priorities, this program was canned. When asked about RMP Block 2, the Stinger program director at Raytheon stated that the Stinger's detection and lethality already were more than sufficient for regular aerial threats, making the RMP Block 2 upgrade unnecessary. Conversely, the Stinger J and Stinger K upgrades improve Stinger's capability against novel threats, namely that of small unmanned aerial systems, UAS, while previous versions of the Stinger were supposedly capable against larger UAS. The Stinger J and K have the ability to engage smaller UAS. They gain this ability through the use of proximity fusing. All prior versions of the Stinger were only hit to kill, meaning that the missile itself would hit the target and then detonate in an attempt to destroy the target. The Stinger J retains this functionality and will attempt to hit to kill by default. However, if it determines that hit to kill is not possible due to the size of the target or other factors, it'll switch to a proximity fusing mode and then detonate when it senses it's at the closest point to the target. This makes the J and K variants far more effective against smaller unmanned aerial systems than earlier Stingers. While this is not exactly a new technology, as it's also used on the IGLA-S Manpads and countless other larger surface-to-air missiles, it's the first time such a fuse is being used in a Stinger missile. The difference between the J and K Stinger is the mounting platform. The Stinger J is designed to be used from a shoulder-fired launcher, meaning the seeker is always pointed straight forward, so the firer can point the system manually at the target. It also has provisions to receive cooling and power from small batteries on the launcher. The K-Stinger is designed to be used from land platforms such as the Humvee Avenger. An improved data link is added between the missile and the launcher that allows the vehicle launcher to cue the seeker to track targets the launcher may have data on. The missile also has a slightly different port configuration to accept electricity and cooling from the vehicle launcher as opposed to a shoulder launcher. While the addition of the proximity mode is the primary lethality improvement for the Stinger J and K, there are also smaller changes. Various technical subsystems like the gas generator are being swapped out in favor of newer designs, as the microelectronics and design of the old gas generators can be considered obsolete and hard to source. Replacing them with newer components will extend the shelf life of Stingers in U.S. military service. Some may ask why the United States continues to develop the Stinger missile as opposed to creating a new Manpads like the Russians did with the Verba. The answer, as given by Raytheon, is that Stinger fulfills all current and near future requirements for an air defense system. The threats that a NATO Manpad might face aren't evolving that fast, and Stinger in its current form is capable of facing them down without trouble. On the other hand, the United States and its allies are pushing out newer planes and missiles, so a fresh design is needed for Russia to counter the new technology the West is putting out. The Stinger Manpads replacement. The original Stinger's reprogrammable microprocessor will become obsolete in 2023, and a service life extension will keep the Block 1 in service until 2030. With the arsenal declining from obsolescence, on 10 November 2020, the U.S. Army issued a request for information for a replacement Manpads. The new system will be compatible with this Stinger vehicle universal launcher used on IM SHORAD and be able to defeat fixed and rotary wing aircraft as well as Group 2 and 3 UAS as well or better than the Stinger. A contract for up to 8,000 missiles is planned to be awarded by 2026. Stinger missile in Ukraine. During the Cold War, the CIA covertly supplied Stingers to Afghan guerrillas fighting Russian forces. Now, Ukrainian forces, locked in an intensifying fight to repel Russia, will get more of the shoulder-fired weapon, which has a 4-kilometer range. With the Raytheon technology-made Stingers, Ukrainian forces gain a tool for fighting Russian helicopters being used to transport troops and as close air support. They've relied on missile defenses and aircraft to, so far, keep Russian aircraft from completely dominating their skies. Once the Stinger's employed, it has the ability to be a game changer, said retired Army Lieutenant General Jim Dubik, now a senior fellow with the Institute for the Study of War. The Russians don't have air dominance, but they do have air superiority, and the Stingers won't take that away. But it'll be contested airspace, and that hurts the Russians' ability to conduct operations and increases Ukraine's ability to defend.